Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Carvel Community Meeting. Today's date is August 10th, 2022. If you're watching this from home, we encourage you to come join us live. We meet every second and fourth Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's a really good opportunity for you to come and bring any questions you have about the Carvel tools, any feedback or feature requests. Listen in on what the team is working on, or if you want to provide feedback on what they're working on, anything like that, we would love to have you come join us live. For those that are here today, if there is something you wish to discuss with the team, just a reminder, you can put that down in the discussion topic section of the agenda, and we will get to it later on. If you're unable to join the meeting live and you still want to reach out to us, if you have a feature request or anything like that, there are options to choose from. You can find us in the Carvel channel and the Kubernetes Slack workspace. You can email us. You can obviously find us in GitHub within any of our project repos, or you can find us on Twitter at Carvel_dev. If at any point you are interacting with us or any members of the community, we ask that you please read and abide by our code of conduct, which is listed here and throughout all of our repos. For those that are using the Carvel tools, we have created this pinned issue to gather more information about your use cases with the Carvel tools. This helps us to further plan development of the tools, trying to understand how folks are using the Carvel tools, and it also helps the community understand how they could also use the Carvel tools. So it's a really good way to share your knowledge with everyone in the community, including the maintainers that work on the tools. What it is you just add a comment and input the information we request of you here. And optionally, you can add a PNG version of your logo if you're representing an organization, and we will get that added to the adopters file here. For those that are in this meeting today, just a reminder, we would like for you to add your name to the attendees list so we can keep track of folks who are joining the meetings live. And if you represent an organization, you feel comfortable sharing that, make sure to put that in parentheses next to your name. Moving on to announcements. So for content, I wanted to highlight a couple of posts that we had by members of the community. So by Scott Rosenberg, we had this post right here, Tap and Helm, a story of YTT magic. Just want to do a huge thank you to Scott for writing this up. Scott, anything you want to say about this particular piece?
It was definitely a fun one, and thank you, John, for all of your help there, because it wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you for dealing with all my craziness.
Yeah, good times. It takes people like me to tolerate a person such as yourself, Scott. No, I really enjoyed it. Thanks, man. Thanks for including me in it.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun, and it works great. So yeah.
Sweet. Thanks, Scott. And then on to the post that Pete did, continuous thing doer. Pete writes about deploying Concourse CI into their Kubernetes home lab with Carvel. I saw Pete join us today. Feel free to say anything if you want to shout out or highlight.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun process, and I just decided to. So I've been setting up a new home lab with Kubernetes installed, and I just decided to blog about the process. And one of the things I always wanted to put on there was Concourse, because it's one of my favorite tools. But I haven't done any Helm yet, and I didn't want to do the Docker Compose route. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? And I've been using kapp and YTT and some of the other tools to really help with the process. And it really came together in kind of a fun way. Able to use some really interesting things like secretgen-controller to create the certificates and things like that I don't care to actually know or store in the secret store or anything like that. So it's been pretty fun.
That's super cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Seems like it would be something super helpful for others to know as well. Any comments from the team before we move on?
Yeah, I just want to say, if you haven't read any of Pete's stuff, he's going to be modest about that. He's a really good writer. I enjoy his articles. They're tight, sweet, and it's a fun write. So I encourage you, go check it out.
I appreciate that.
Great, thank you. Okay, upcoming, we have a blog that Joe, one of the maintainers of Carvel, has been working on to kind of highlight what the team worked on in July. There's a little PR here for it.
Hey, I have an awkward question. Is it my job to merge that? Who merges that? Should I have done that already?
Yeah, if it's done, yeah,
Okay.
if it's ready to go.
It'll be out sometime today.
Should I just do it now? I just
Yeah,
squash
sure.
them.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Live merge.
Live.
Forget it. We'll do it live.
Live. And there we go. It is live. So be sure to go.
Why are you so good at that horn sound, Nancy? Like you've had a lot of practice with that.
I mean, I may have gone to some raves in my day, but you know. So moving on to community content sharing. As you can see, there's a lot of content being shared, not just with the maintainers, but other folks in the community. So we invite this to everyone to share how they're using Carvel tools, what excites them about the Carvel tools, how they're using it with other projects, with other tools, products, anything like that. Anything that you find really interesting, we would love for you to share that with us and all of the community at large. So please feel free to sign up here to input that you are creating something to share, what that medium is, the Twitter handle if you would like for us to tag you. Alternatively, like how I came across Scott and Pete's, is that they tagged us in Twitter posts. And so I saw that I created those posts and made sure to give them a shout out here and did whatever I could to help promote that and thank them for sharing their knowledge. So if you have any questions about that, please let us know. Moving on to some releases, we got kapp-controller, and Bender. So kapp 0.51.
I think I can talk about that. So in this release, we actually added a flag to help kapp-controller add some additional metadata to the status it exposes. So one of our users sort of wanted to get to know how they can find resources created by a package install on their cluster, right? And so this flag sort of enables kapp-controller to store metadata like that in the package install status. And yeah, that's how it helps out. And I think the second one's just a bump to fix an issue for an outdated dependency. Yeah, I think that's all.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Any questions on that release? Okay, kapp-controller 0.39. Few things in here. Who's able to share some highlights here?
Well, I think I kind of said this in private, but the theme of this release is basically, oops, we waited a long time between releases. So there's a lot of things. I think the downwards API is really exciting. You can get more information about, oh man, well, it was really exciting before I forgot exactly what it did. But anyways, you can get more information passed into your templating step. We upgraded almost all of so many things, so many little upgrades, a lot of new features. You're gonna love it. ARM64 builds.
Cluster info? Do you get get data from is that with the downward API? You get cluster or something?
Yeah, but I think in this case, it's I'd really have to reread the pull request. Sorry, I knew what it did 3 weeks ago, but you get information about the not the cluster, but about like the
It's you get the app CR data. You get the app CR data here, so you could pull, for example, the namespace the app CR is in and use that as the data value or the name of the app, which is awesome.
That's fantastic. So you get live state that you can use in your templates.
All right, very cool. And thanks to Scott for for giving some clarification there as well. All right, moving on to vendor. Just looks like a little thing here.
So this one Neil and I actually did, and it's really the kind of feature that you only care about if you're about to consume it in kapp-controller for a feature that hasn't been released yet.
Okay. What what feature hasn't been released yet that it would be good for?
Some version constraint stuff. So this is really just a it's kind of this is highlighting that in order to make a kapp-controller change, you often have to first make a change in kapp, vendor, image package, or one of the other methods. So this is just our distributed code base percolating outwards. So because we're working on a story for version constraints, we needed to generalize something in how vendor does version constraints. Kapp-controller doesn't do its own version constraints. Kapp-controller has very long fingernails. It offloads all that work onto its lackeys.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe, for giving some more context there. Any questions on any of those releases before moving on? Okay, moving on to project roadmap. So Renew, one of the engineering managers based in India for Carvel, updated this and merged the PR, I believe, earlier today. And we've kind of changed a little bit of the structure of the roadmap itself, adding a stage here. So more of like a status of what that feature, where that feature is and what the team has been working on, and the timeline expected to be released. So before I move on to like opening it up to Renew on talking more about some of these features that are in here, I just wanted to open it up also, or ask the community to review the roadmap structure, and if there's anything that you wish you could see more of, or if there's something missing, or anything, any comments you have about this, please let us know. One of the topics that has brought up earlier this week when I was talking to some folks from Carvel is, do we want to have a way in which we highlight or point back to the features that have been completed rather than removing them from here as we complete them? Should we point back to, in a way, just so that others can see all the features that have been added to the tools, and what way would that be? So not really like a discussion topic for now, just kind of something to plant the seed, start thinking about it, and how you feel about it. So Renew, are you here? Yeah. Do you want to go over?
Okay. Sure. So quickly, we wanted to make the roadmap more, responsive, and wanted to also give crisper timelines as to what we are doing, and also as to what stage of those activities we are in. So I think theme and features are, I guess you guys are all aware of. What we have added is stage, which tells exactly what is happening with that feature. As is it in the proposal state? So I will give out one thing that is missing from this is what are the different stages that we are thinking about. I will put in a note somewhere there about the stages that we have. But right now it is going to be awaiting proposals. Then it is about the proposal is under review. Then probably it will get into build phase and then delivered. Those are the few things that we are thinking of. I hope the timelines give a better visibility as to when these features are coming to the community. And we thought of putting in quarters here, but that seemed very broad. So we have actually tried to work to get it to really closer timelines to when we are expecting it to come out. We do not know the release because releases are still, the cadence for releases are generally, we have not come to a proper cadence right now. So that question still remains. And hopefully if we have a monthly or 1.5 monthly cadence for some of the tools, we will let you know if we could keep those. So that's about the roadmap. Please let me know if you have any feedback or anything else you would want to see here. Any other notes or anything else about the features? Happy to add that.
All right, thank you, Renu. Okay, moving on to this week's what the team's been working on, backlog. I wanted to point out that while we've been using ZenHub for, I don't know, the last year and a half, we have been moving over to GitHub projects. So I know Aaron was going to talk a little bit about this, but I think he's still stuck in a different meeting. But essentially, once we have completed the work to move over into GitHub projects, we will change up all the links that point to ZenHub into the projects. Does anyone have any anything else to point out as far as migrating to GitHub projects and our use of it?
Yeah, I can add a little color. But our main motivator here is to try and just make this more accessible to the community, like you're saying. And so we're at the point now where like all of our work is represented in like this view here. We'll be doing more to like break things down in like different sections as we need it or folks need it, so that you can like zoom in on the pieces that you want to see. There's some work that we need to do to all the stuff that's on the left side. We need to actually like go back and triage a bunch. You can see some of these counts up here at the top of the columns, 217, 354. So we've got some work that we want to do to clear out some stuff or rework some of the triaging around that. So this is a work in process as well. But yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, John. All right. Image package, Joao.
Hello. Your favorite time of every other week is here, just for you. All right. So what has been happening in image package? So 3 things have been happening in image package right now in the last couple of weeks. We're still working on this image caching information part for image package. This is part of like a bigger initiative that is to try to make sure that kapp-controller contacts us less times or less often the registry. So that work is still ongoing. The other thing that has been ongoing is we are going to allow, like some people are consuming image package as library. So and in some of the cases, they wanted to have the nice progress bar that we have on when they are pushing images to the registry. We didn't have that implemented, and Shahir is doing this PR. So pretty excited to have that. And the third topic is, it's not something that's in flight. It's something that's there. There's a PR there. That's the number. And it is going to bump GCR to a newer version and will allow the users to authenticate a little bit differently when they are inside an IS. That currently it's stopped. We are not working on that. So if you are interested in working in some of this pretty cool feature, we have like a base PR. Just come talk to me and I can guide you and help you and tell you how we want to proceed with this. But yeah, I think that's what has been happening on image package land.
All right, thank you, Joe. Wow. Moving on to Cap.
So I think most of the work in CAP went towards allowing users to set sort of like an expiration timer on the resource. Basically, one of our users wanted to say that if this resource has existed for more than 5 minutes, and if CAP tries to deploy it again, we want to either version it or deploy it again. And so that's the new feature that's been being worked on for a while. And we also did finally rename our Go module from K14s to Carvel cap. So sorry, VMware Tanzu Carvel cap. So if you're for some reason using cap as a package, you should probably keep that in mind. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, K-control.
Yep. I can provide an update on the K-control. So as you know, like we are approaching the alpha release, and we were working towards that. So we were trying to wrap up the documentation. So we spent a bit of time on the documentation for the package authoring command, and we are working towards merging the PR of package authoring code into the develop branch. And as you mentioned, Nancy, next week we'll be looking to cut the alpha release for the same. Yeah, that's all.
All right, thank you. YTT.
Yeah, Varsha and I have been steeped in usability testing around our validations feature. If you feel like you're missing out, click that link and that'll give you a preview, a way of getting set up. And if you'd like to have us hang out with you while you try that out, we would love to be there with you. There's a number of folks that we've reached out to. We're setting up times to chat with them. If you want to be one of those folks, just come to our Slack and ping us. We would love to get your live feedback on this feature. It's in experimental mode right now, which means that we can make adjustments to the API, but once we release it, we've been committed to not making breaking changes in most of our tools. And if we have to, it's very rare. So this is work that we're trying to do to make sure that it's useful for you. So if you're using YTT a lot and you like the idea of shifting left any errors in configuration, we would love to talk to you.
All right, thanks, John. All right, before I move on to discussion topics, does anyone have questions for anything the team brought up in the status updates? Okay. On to discussion topics. So there was an issue here that has been it was posted back in December 2020. There's been discussion on it and recently kind of brought back to life. So Joe had posted a Slack message in our public channel in the Kubernetes Slack workspace asking for the community's input on what they would like to see from this, and if they would find value out of it. So I want to know if there's anyone here that wants to discuss this now, if they have any, if they've know are familiar with it, or Joe, if you want to give some color to it before we talk about it.
No, I think you got it.
Okay. So for those that are watching from home, encourage you to go take a look at this. Let us know if it would be something useful for you. Just there's a lot of different things that we have like requests on, and we want to make sure that the team is working on efficiently and things that would be valuable. And so we want to know like how others are using the tools, and if this is something that we should prioritize. So please take a look, go add your comments in here or in the Slack thread that's been added to the agenda. All right, moving on to the demo of package authoring workflows. Stop sharing my screen.
Yep, I'll start sharing and I'll take you all through the demo. Yeah, so I'll just give a brief on the package authoring workflow. So how it all started. Sometime back, we started looking onto simplifying the package authoring workflow because when you author a package, you basically need to know almost all of the Carvel tools, and that was barrier, and we wanted to simplify that process so that the new and the beginner and the experienced users, if they can come and create good quality Carvel packages. So that is how all of this simplifying of the package authoring has started. And we did a bunch of we floated around a survey where we asked how they envision the tool, and it looks like because everything is happening on the CLI, so the CLI was a way to go even for the package authoring commands as well. And so coming on to the package authoring, so we envision that the package authoring, it's kind of an iterative flow. So where package authors, they already have some Kubernetes configuration, which they would love to package. And once they have the configuration, they will like to template or add some overlays to it, which is an iterative process until they get it in the desired shape. So they will, repeat over writing the overlay or the template part to get it right. So once everything is in place, they would love to make a release of the package so that it becomes distributable and can be consumed by the package consumers. So preferably they want to do it in a automated way, maybe in a GitHub action or something like that, right? And yeah, so that's how we have envisioned it. And now I'll be now giving this in place. So we have introduced a couple of commands on the K-control. One is like, so as again, the journey which I have told, the commands are pretty similar in that way. Like we will see to first initialize a package. So when we say initialize a package, what that command will do is it will create the required files, and it will ask a bunch of questions. For example, like where the Kubernetes configurations are there, and a bit more, maybe asking the package name. So once it has asked all those basic questions, it will initialize the required files and the content. And then so as like adding a template or an overlay, that's an optional step. So that is where, but it is an iterative step, and that is where the dev deploy comes in. So we have not fully finalized on the name as of now as a dev deploy, but yeah, but the whole point of dev deploy is that you don't need to have the kapp-controller running on your Kubernetes cluster, but what will happen is the dev deploy command will give you the feel of kapp-controller running. So when you run the dev deploy, it will deploy everything locally in the same way the kapp-controller will do, and you will have your application up and running. So you can also like iterate over your configurations quickly and see that the they are in the correct place and they are getting changed the way we want in the desired behavior. And once everything is in place, all the pieces are in place, we'll see that we'll have a command called kcontrol package release, which will help to release the package. And then you can add those package and package metadata to the package repository, and can run kcontrol package repo release to release that package repository itself. So that is the whole flow. So I'll be demoing that starting from initialization to the dev deploy and to the release. Yeah, and then we'll see based on the time we can do the adding of the package to repo and releasing the repo, or we already have covered it in the documentation which will be coming out. So yeah. So what I have here is a simple app where I am a developer and I want to package my simple app for the distribution, right? And that is the scenario. And what I'll do is I'll run kcontrol package init. So what it will do is, yeah.
Rohit, sorry to interrupt. I'm so sorry. Do you mind making the text just a little bit bigger?
Yep.
Please. Sorry. Thank you. I don't mean to mess up your demo. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So it is asking for the package reference name, like the package name, again, some basic information about how the package name should be. So let me give it demo.carvel.dev. And then it is asking from where it can fetch the Kubernetes manifest. So we have a bunch of options. So this time, because I want to package my own application from my source code, so I'll say local directory. And then it is asking what configuration or what files need to be part of this package. So all of my configurations are present in the config folder. So what I'll do is I'll add the config folder here. And as I was saying, like it will create the required files. So it has created the package build.yaml and the package resources.yaml. So now if we look into both of these files, package build.yaml, this is how it looks. I'll come back to it later on. But let's look at the package resources.yaml file first. So it contains package metadata, and package install. Again, some of the things are filled with the values provided, which are default values. So they can be changed by the users. Once they are changed, they will stay there, which means when you are releasing the package, at that time, these values, you will see these changed values. So let me change the long description to, let's say, long description. Right. So now we have, I also want to bring attention towards the package and package install. So when we said that you might want to add some overlays or templates and iterate over it multiple times. So how those configurations or how those will be picked up is by the dev deploy feature is via the package and package install here. So dev deploy will pick up this package and package install, and it will try to deploy it onto the Kubernetes cluster. So what I'll do is, so I already Okay, I have it here. So in the config dev, I have build.yaml. So what I want to do is with the help of, let me hide it. With the help of kbuild, I actually want to build my image, but during the dev deploy flow, I don't want to push my image to a OCI registry because it is still very much in the development space as of now, right? And I want to add, let's say I already have an overlay which will add the resource request and limit, and I want to add this overlay as well. So what I'll do is I'll add the overlay to the config dev folder, and I will move this config dev folder to be picked up by the dev deploy. So for that, what I have to do is I have to come here and add it in the package of the package resources. Alternatively, what we can do is we can run the package init again and add the config dev. So what it will do is it will pick the values which have already been provided, but we can then make changes to those values. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll run the kctrl dev deploy now. So if I'll do kctrl dev deploy -h, it has a couple of flags. So what hyphen kbuild will do is it will allow the kbuild to actually build your binary. And then we have the -l, which is local, so that we can use the local fetch source. Yeah, so we'll be using these two variables. So let me do kcontrol dev deploy -b -l, and my package and package install are present in the package resources.yaml. Yeah, before we move on, one more thing, the package install, it has the service account. So this service account needs to be created beforehand. Otherwise the dev deploy will fail. We'll see that in the next release, we can create the service account. But yeah, today you have to create it manually. So I can show that I already have it. If I'll do cube get SA, so I already have the demo service account. So let me just run it. Also, we can run it in the debug mode to see that what is going on, to get more depth in there. But yeah, let me just run it in the debug mode. So we'll see that kbuild is actually building. So we can see that here the kbuild is actually building the image. Yep, and then it is on deploying that. So the reconcile has succeeded, and if I do cap ls -a, so I can see that my demo.app has been installed and everything is there, but I do not have the kapp-controller in this cluster. So this is the part with dev deploy. Dev deploy is purely optional. And then we move on to, so now I have everything in place. So what I want to do is I want to make a release. So what I do is, as part of the release, I want to also push my image to an OCI registry, which is getting created. So that is what this destination implies. Again, the tool will be using kbuild underneath. And also I want to add my overlay. So what I need to do is I need to go to the package build, which we said we'll come back in a bit. Now package build has two sections. One is this app spec section, which contains your deploy and template. And then there is this export section. So this deploy and template will get copied over to the releasable package. So we need to make sure that our overlay is present, which should get picked up by the YTT. And I also want to pick my config release folder. Now the export will today the package authoring, it will actually, when it is trying to release a package, it will create an image package bundle for you. And what does that image package bundle will include will be defined in this include paths. So we'll add these also over here, otherwise they will not be available to the YTT, right? So now if I go in here and if I look into the key control package release -h, again, one thing I want to highlight is we have this version flag, which is exported so that the key control command can be, the release command can be reused in the automated flow as well. So let's say I give version 1.0.0, then it is asking the registry URL where that image package bundle will be pushed. So let me say, so I'm giving my Docker account. So again, it will run the K build, but this time I'm not running it in the debug mode. So that is why we are not seeing that whole output. But what it will do is it will again build the binary, push that binary now to the Docker registry. So that is what it is doing as of now. And then it will do the image package. It will create that bundle and it will do the image package push. And we see that these are all the content of the bundle which we wanted to include. And our artifacts are created in here. So if I'll do cat of this is the package metadata. So as I said, like whatever the value will change over there, it will stay in your even released package. So this is with respect to the package metadata. And if you look into the package.yaml, so it has this image package bundle, which was created as part of the release flow. And then the paths in the YTT and the K build, and it has also generated the value schema from the values.yaml file, which was present in the config folder. Yep, from this. So the next step is to add these packages and package metadata to the repository. So if we are interested in going over there, we can do that. Otherwise, I can stop here.
Maybe to make this a little bit more digestible, it's probably worth stopping over here. I don't know. That's at least my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. And so we have already raised a PR on the secretgen-controller, where this package release, we can see how it is being used in a GitHub action. So I'll recommend all of you to go through that. Yep.
So Rohit, I had a question. You said it's like running cap. It does the same kind of thing as kapp-controller, like in the cluster. Is it like it, or is it literally kapp-controller when you do the dev deploy?
I'll say it is like it. The underlying code is same, but we do not do any resync or reconciliation. So that is not happening. So it is just like one-time deployment, if you can think of doing with the kapp-controller.
That's fantastic. I love the little flourishes. There's little bits like where the K-build configuration automatically reaches into the images YAML in the bundle. Like you don't have to remember to include that. There's a lot of little things I saw, like the overlays had both the kind and API version in them. Like it was really neat seeing like all those little easy gotchas are just like covered just by using the tool.
Thank you.
It's cool. Thanks for the demo.
So here's a quick thought for folks who work on kapp-controller that I just kind of connected is when we do development of kapp-controller, if you're just focusing on that single reconciliation area, right, you could actually now run this thing directly. This is once we combine the CLI and the kapp-controller Go mod. So you can potentially skip the deploying to Kubernetes, right? You can just use the, the code that you're building, let's say, as you develop kapp-controller. You could also be just executing it directly in the CLI form.
I mean, it seems like that'd be especially useful for testing. Like we could pull a bunch of things out of our end-to-end tests. Is that a fair statement, Dimitri?
I probably wouldn't go as far as that, but it probably really depends on what kind of tests you're talking about, right? Because a lot of the tests are exercising the Kubernetes-based flow, right? And we still want to ensure that that's all correct, right? But maybe, focusing specifically on, I don't know, the deploy part or something like that. But yeah, I don't know, just a thought. We'll probably have some further discussions along the way.
Well, and you did say this isn't quite enabled yet because of the way that you all did the depths, right?
Right. Today, the CLI and the kapp-controller do not. They have two different Go mods, and I think the plan was always to get them merged together, so it's a single project.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I'll say is we encourage all of you to try it out and share your feedback because this is an alpha release. So the intention is also to get the feedback and try to incorporate it in the next releases.
So if I grab the latest now, I'll have this. How do I get a hold of my copy of the CLI?
So we will be merging it this week, and we will be cutting our release next week. But yeah, if you really want, there is already a PR up. You can build that PR. I can share that PR.
All right, thank you, Rohit. Any other questions, comments? I did want to say Neil's comment out loud. Neil said, this is really cool stuff. No more, or at least less, manual YAML writing and getting the indentation wrong. So super cool stuff. All right, we have 5 minutes left. The launch page for feature renew, how long do you anticipate that taking?
I just wanted to hear from people as to if you're introducing a new feature like KCTRL, how would you make it really splashy on the, Nancy, maybe you can chip in, and how can you can put it on the website so that people don't have to go to kapp-controller and then the documentation there. So that is 3 jumps in. Just wondered if there is something we could do about it.
Yeah, we could do the banner at the top that we haven't utilized since I think KubeCon,
yeah,
or something. Yeah, KubeCon North America 21. So we could do that. And then I definitely want to write a blog post, get that put out there. Just quick synopsis of what this alpha release does and how you want folks to use it and test it and how they can provide feedback. So, and all the documentation associated with it. But if anybody else has any ideas, how do you digest information? How do you find it? That would be good to know.
I mean, it's not clear to me why we, it does feel like the website might be not organized according to our users' goals. So like maybe our users don't really care whether kapp-control or kapp or k-control, like there's a lot of, everything starts with the letter K anyways. You could just snip that first letter off. It has no information. But it feels like maybe we are way overdue to have our website be a little more like user directed, and barring that, we could just decide to start. We could just have an inconsistent website where at least the package authoring tool is user directed. Maybe a lightweight change that's a little inconsistent is going to be better than waiting for this like ultimate consistency giant redesign.
Yeah, it's definitely been a topic of discussion for a year now about updating the website to make it more user-friendly, and the information architecture is a little bit easier to digest and find. But to your suggestion on just like a quick thing for this particular item, I think that's like a whole other thing that we would have to talk about, and how to who would create it, what would it look like, where would it live, who would, like, all sorts of stuff would go into that.
Yeah, it's like opening up a can of worms.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
Let's go fishing.
Yeah. Everybody gets a worm.
But all of you just talk about KCTRL whenever you meet anybody.
Yes.
Word of mouth. Thank you.
At the coffee shop.
But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Renew, and Joe. Yeah, we do have some work to do there. All right, I will move the YTT validations thing to the next meeting, which is August 24th. We will also have someone joining us from Robusta talking about their initiative for 100 tools in 100 days. They're featuring the Carvel tools, and wanted them to give a little bit highlight of what Robusta does and what their initiative is, and all that good stuff. So come check that out for the next meeting. Again, we meet every second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And with that, hope to see you soon. Have a good day. Thank you for joining today.